Hey, look at that. Just in time. There's
Hey,
Adrian.
perfect time.
Hey there.
What's going on? You're even in your home studio and everything.
Yeah, I'm home for once. I think I last joined you
Coffee
from
shop?
a Barnes and Noble
Yeah.
in Alabama, maybe.
Mm,
Oh.
of all places.
They have those in Alabama?
They do. They're opening up a bunch more.
Wow.
Yeah, there's new Barnes and Nobles being built all over the country.
It's crazy.
Why is that? That's counterintuitive.
Is
All
it?
right, we're ready to get started. You guys ready?
Ready?
Yep.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hacker Syndicate. I'm, of course, Paul Asadorian, joined by some of my good friends. Mr. Larry Pesci is here with us. Larry, welcome.
Yay!
Mr. Jeff Mann is here with us.
First time, well, I can't even say long time listener because I've never listened to it. So, first time for everything.
First
Glad I'm
time for
here.
everything. It's awesome.
I think I'm a
Adrian,
virgin. Just call
Adrian
it that.
Sanabria has joined us. Welcome, Adrian.
I am less Malloy Strong. Is that I first read that as Malort Strong, and I thought it was
I
like a
know. I
Chicago
know.
thing.
Ooh,
Yes.
yeah.
My lord is strong in
It is. It is.
disgustingness.
So now I need to know what it means, Larry.
So it's a shirt for in support of one of our friends,
Oh, okay.
Ed Malloy. He passed away of cancer, and it was during his cancer treatment and all of that type of stuff. They did lots of fundraisers, and he actually became one of the biggest supporters of the cancer center here while he was a patient. So, yep, it just happened to be
Wow.
on the top of the stack. This was the shirt for
That's how,
today.
yeah, that's how Larry does it. Whatever's on the top of the stack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry,
Definitely.
Paul, for starting it on kind of a
No, that's
dour note.
okay. You know, it's a
Oh no.
memory management analogy. I like it.
Yep.
Top of the
Totally.
stack.
Totally. You never take from the bottom of the stack. That would
That's
because
right.
that thing everything tips over.
Does the
Uh,
stack ever overflow?
Very often.
Ah.
Yes. Very often. Yes.
the Watchtower post was very much about the stack and a memory management issue in the Ike D process. If you guys saw that latest write up, you know how much I love Watchtower. And then this week I realized that Ryan Dewhurst, you remember Ryan Dewhurst?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the head of threat intelligence at Watchtower.
Hmm.
And was making some commentary on the F5 situation, but Watchtower's latest post is very interesting because it's very. Hey, Lee, what's going on? Lee Neely joined us. Welcome, Lee.
Well, good to be here.
So it's interesting because it's a stack-based buffer overflow. He actually links to Aleph-1's smashing the stack for fun and profit. Like, hey, we're back in 1996 where stack-based buffer overflows are in play, and there's no memory protections to prevent those, or at least make the attackers work around said protections. And it was in the IPsec IKD process, which I thought was kind of interesting because there was another vulnerability. I'm not sure if it was a stack-based buffer overflow, but I remember Zixil or Zyxil, however you say that company name. I like saying Zixil better because it just flows off the tongue better. But they had a similar remote code execution vulnerability in their IPsec daemon. And of course, on edge devices, these services listen and are exposed to the internet to catch the VPN IPsec endpoints. And so this one was with WatchGuard's implementation. And I did a little digging because I'm reading the article. I'm like, this just sounds really familiar to the Zixil issue. And I'm like, no one writes their own IPsec stack. Like, they have to have gotten this code from somewhere because we
Oh,
said
so
this with the
something else is vulnerable, right?
yeah, we
That's
said
what you're
this with the
thinking?
Zixil thing, right? I'm like, who would sit down and write their own IPsec implementation? That sounds horrible. Back when I
You're gonna
first
steal it
started,
from somewhere.
right? Because back when I first started in cybersecurity, I was studying IPsec because we were going to implement IPsec-based VPNs 25 years ago, and I was like, wow, this stuff is like, there's a lot to this. And so when I went into the Watchtower article and saw some of the artifacts from the source code, I went to AI and I'm like, hey, look at this article. Tell me about this Ike process. And like, where did they get this from? Is it open source and commercial? Like, do some research for me. And it came back, and there's a project that hasn't been updated about 6 or 7 years called Raccoon 2, which is a full IPsec implementation. And what AI told me was there's a lot of artifacts that are similar. And what I think was Claude I was using, Claude was like, it's not the exact same code, but likely that WatchGuard took this code and has been extending it and maintaining it in their own environment. And after double checking a couple of things, browsing through the GitHub repository, I'm like, yeah, I think that's true too. So the vulnerability, at least I couldn't spot the exact vulnerability in the WatchGuard code that exists in the open source Raccoon 2 repository. But WatchGuard walks you through it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That I was right. They were like, I'm like, you didn't write this yourself. Like you took it from somewhere. I think it's BSD licensed, so I don't think they have to reshare it out. I don't think it was whatever the other one is that you have to share it out. What is that one? I get all my licenses confused. BSD, even Apache, right, is commercial use, but others are not. So in any case, I thought it was kind of interesting. And they trace it back to, I don't know if they probably developed an exploit, but I know they released some kind of detection for it as well. So I thought it was super interesting.
So I actually I pasted it in the chat, but I wrote a blog post kind of inspired by these kinds of attacks, because you don't have to expose IPsec to the public internet to remotely connect to something these days, right? Like there's Tailscale, there's all kinds of.
I love Tailscale, man. I'm with you. Tailscale is great.
Yeah, like transferring files. You don't need to expose ports. VPN, you don't need to expose ports. SSH, remote desktop, you don't have to expose ports of the public internet. So I anytime somebody brings this up, they're like, what's the most secure way to use FTP? I'm like, what's the safest way to use asbestos?
Right.
Don't.
Oh,
So I've been calling this stuff the asbestos of IT.
And it's interesting how Tailscale works. I mean, you could roll your own solution that would work similar, right? It's basically a cloud aggregator. So everything makes an outbound connection to Tailscale's cloud and creates that virtual private network for you, the tunnel for you, right? And it's got some awesome features too. Like I've set one up as a router. So like when I'm at home, I have a Tailscale endpoint that I actually put on my firewall here in the studio. That connects back to the Tailscale and advertises the routes for the studio network. So when I'm at home, it's just like I'm sitting at the studio. So I can connect to anything in the studio and it does this magic DNS thing where it'll do the DNS. So I can reference things by DNS name. It knows that is a host that's on the Tailscale network through this router that I set up. And it's seamless. It's pretty awesome.
And this is just kind of like starter low-hanging fruit for zero trust, right? Like if one admin needs to remote into a machine in a factory, why would you share that port with the entire public internet when just that one admin needs it? Right.
And then it can also do I forget what they call it, but you can have it be like a VPN, like an outgoing VPN tunnel as well. So sometimes if I connect to Wi-Fi somewhere and they're doing some kind of filtering. I was actually at a soccer event, and I connected to the Wi-Fi to get some work done in the facility, and they were doing some filtering. It wouldn't let me get to like hacking sites. I'm like, but this is what I do.
Yeah.
And so I brought up my Tailscale, and I told it to use my exit node. So I configured an exit node, I think in a Linode little instance, like the smallest little instance, and I put the Tailscale on it, and so that's my exit node, and so I was able to browse the web with no restriction.
Can I be contrarian for a minute?
Yes.
I mean, that's why you have me here, right? I was glancing through Adrian's article. Of course, he just walked away. Oh, there he's back.
I was turning on a fan. It's getting warm in here.
File transfer. I get the idea of replacing FTP, but all your options seem to be put it somewhere in the cloud so everybody has access to it. Are there not direct file-to-file transfer secure methods out there so you don't have to put stuff up in the cloud and
Sure.
possibly introduce a whole lot of other issues?
Yeah. There's on-prem stuff that you can use for sure. Yeah, and there has been for a long time. But again, Like you don't want to expose that stuff to the public internet either. But yeah, you end up having to trust somebody, right? You know, like it's if
Right.
you're using Google Drive or OneDrive or something like that.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm still old.
You can still
school.
encrypt it.
I don't like putting stuff in the cloud in general. I'd rather go direct to direct. Are there no direct secure protocols anymore?
Yes, and there's commercial solutions which have had a number of vulnerabilities. So, like, you can do this all with open source software, but if you've got an enterprise with 100,000 people, I mean, you're probably not rolling your own open source solution for file transfer and making
Right.
people like install an SSH client or whatever. And I believe that that's why some of these more commercial solutions exist, to have that kind of just like drop in some software, run it on a server, and provide secure file sharing. And some of them are even called like, is it WSFTP? I believe is an example. They still carry the FTP moniker, but when you install them, you can configure all the secure protocols that provide encryption for your file transfer. But unfortunately, a lot of those commercial solutions have had vulnerabilities that can be exploited.
Yeah, there was something I was using with God, I'm blanking on his name. He hasn't been on Paul Security Weekly in forever. What's our other friend in? I'm not sure. Is he still in Idaho?
It's like a long list. Tyler
You
Robinson.
mean Tyler?
Tyler.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Tyler were working on a project together, and we had some software set up, Jeff, that just synced between our NAS devices. Our Synology devices would sync directly together. And I think we were able to do that without exposing anything to the public internet.
Right.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I can actually log into my NAS and see, because I just disconnected that the other day because I was like, okay, that project's 8 years ago. I don't need that anymore.
Jeez.
Oh, so you're finally getting around to turning off promiscuous logging.
Well, I mean, it was just
Oh.
syncing one folder. There's nothing sensitive in the folder.
Oh, you know what you should do?
Yes.
Adrian, you should check there for Tyler's Bitcoin wallet.
I'm
Good
sure
thought.
he's more careful than that about
What are
where
the
he puts it.
odds?
I
But
don't.
I will check.
Well, Adrian, I don't know. This is like an ongoing joke for those who
Double
our
check.
listeners are just tuning in. That many years ago, Tyler said that he transferred a Bitcoin wallet to a USB thumb drive or to a hard drive, and then
no.
promptly misplaced it.
Oh no.
And it
There's
has
a great scene from.
it has several Bitcoins on it.
Oh
Yes.
no.
Oh, but I
Like-
watched
Yes.
a clip. I watched a clip from. What is the show with the nerds?
Just $500,000.
The blonde lady. The blonde woman lives with them. They live in an apartment together. What is
The
that show
whole
called?
universe is in it.
There's like
That
the
one?
start. They're nerds.
Murders in the building? No, that's
No, what is
not
the
blonde.
the TV
It's
show?
it's with Sheldon.
Sheldon, yeah, with
Sheldon.
Sheldon. What is
It's
that
not
show?
young Sheldon. It's not young Sheldon. It's,
It's
the
the-
older
It's-
version of that one.
You
what
mean
is
Big
it?
Bang Theory?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you. Big Bang Theory has a clip where they were talking like 10 years in the future, like 10 years ago, they're like, oh, we did this Bitcoin thing. And they're like, crap, where is the Bitcoin? And then Sheldon turns out had like pulled it off the laptop and put it on the Batman USB thumb drive. And the other guy's like, oh, I lost that thumb drive like years ago. And so they lost like millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. I was like, oh, I think I saved it. I gotta send it to Tyler.
That's
Most
about where
def.
Tyler, that's about where Tyler is. So
Yeah, I was
There's
like,
so
oh,
many of those
they took the
stories.
story. Well, I guess there's a lot of stories like that. I want to
Yeah.
go back to Tailscale for a moment, though.
Mm-hmm.
And my question for the group, because I've flirted with this idea, but I'm like, why don't more enterprises adopt Tailscale, especially with the vulnerabilities and just bad things, attackers really going after these network edge devices, especially VPNs? How come there isn't more enterprise adoption of Tailscale? Is that not their market? Are there other issues? Does it ironically like not scale for enterprises? I mean, I'm on the free account. It gives you like what, 100 hosts and 10 users, or something ridiculous like that.
I think it's just not on their radar. I mean, that's why I wrote the blog post, right? You know, I feel like people need to be aware that there's other options here. You know, I still do a lot of work for IONS,
Yeah.
and you know, how do I secure my FTP server comes up all the time. And so one by one, I'm trying to tell people, that there's
Right.
So generally the whole ZTNA category of products are all built on stuff like Tailscale.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like a similar deployment, the similar
Zero
system
trust network
architecture.
access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it might simply be a matter of inertia too. I mean, the enterprise I was in had been doing and hosting their own VPN since the 90s. All right.
Right.
And while they've changed the technology under it, they still host their own VPN.
Yeah. And I think the elephant in the room is what is the more secure architecture? Is it one where you can host your own VPN, or is it one where you use a cloud service and trust that the cloud service is going to do a better job at securing their infrastructure and your infrastructure than you can?
Yep.
So-
And can you
so
accept
that's
the
kind of the
risk of
reason
the
I'm
cloud
not
service having
using-
access?
That's the reason I'm not using AnyDesk or TeamViewer. I decided to use RustDesk,
Mm-hmm.
which you can. So you can install your own server. But I'm not even doing that. I'm just doing direct IP connections because I'm also using Tailscale.
Right.
So I think I told you the other day I was on an airplane. I was in the air using the in-air Wi-Fi and used Tailscale and RustDesk to log into this computer that I'm using right now, and it was like I was sitting in front of it. Right, the latency was that low.
Is that an airplane going overhead, Jeff?
It's possible. I'm in the flight path to BWI.
Gotcha. Ah, it's loud. Yeah, so it's interesting. I'd like to see more adoption of Tailscale because I think that security architecture wise is probably better. I think maybe people don't trust the cloud enough. But I'm like, do you trust yourself? And more importantly, do you trust the vendor that is dropping off that appliance? That my new analogy is these appliances are like the briefcase from Pulp Fiction, shrouded in mystery. Don't look in the briefcase.
Yeah.
The briefcase is very valuable, right? And drop off that briefcase, but can't look inside it. And that's what a lot of these vendors are like, no. You can't look inside it.
I trust the cheapest solution that promises that my risk is transferred.
Uh-huh.
I mean, essentially, that's what you're doing, right? It's a cloud service, so you're transferring that responsibility over to the cloud provider, which in this case
I didn't
is
say
Tailscale.
responsibility. I said risk.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And transfer is a loaded term.
Well, and in
I've been
fact,
saying on architecture, I've been saying in talks back to like 2017, that you should assume everything has a 0 day in it and the patch is never coming. That's how you should build stuff.
Right.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
no, it's not. But the other thing, of course, that you got to think about is, what abilities have you got in house, and you're outsourcing other things because you can't do it yourself. You probably, if you're small enough, you're probably at best got a security generalist, not a VPN specialist. So that's part of the risk, right? You've got to look at what you can do, and what do you know about it? And I don't mean that in a derogatory man. I mean, what skills have you got in the door?
Yeah, and how do you want to use them, right? Do you want to use them to do your own VPN, or do you want to use your skills on something else and outsource your VPN? And I think a lot of enterprises are like, oh, we just want to buy a box from a vendor and call it a day.
Right. So you wind up with SonicWall, right?
Or WatchGuard, or
I mean,
F5.
I'm just saying, I mentioned SonicWall because they've been having all kinds of issues with security related problems, and it's like, let's maybe choose again. But
that's not to say they can't
I got
provide a secure product, but
no,
I got a question.
Go ahead, Adrian.
Well, why would you expose your firewall management port to the public internet? Is there ever a good reason to do that?
because
That's what most of these vulnerabilities are in, right?
Yeah.
actually remove the word firewall from your previous question.
Management, yeah, sure.
And the reason is because a lot of folks have outsourced to somebody and they've just accessed it over the internet. They haven't provided like a secure landing point through a VPN to access it. And I realize there's circular logic when it comes to managing your VPN, but maybe that's the one you get in the car.
Also an attack target, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the trend I've seen is they're the attackers will go after the management interface if people do expose it to the internet, which you shouldn't do, obviously. But the other attack vector is, well, what ports have to be exposed to the internet, and those are the ones attackers are going after. If you look at what is it, Global Protect? Is that Palo Alto? Global Protect was one. If you look on Shodan, tons of it exposed to the internet. It's not the web management interface, but it's the SSL VPN endpoint that has to be exposed to the internet. So naturally, attackers are like, well, this is a juicy target. And they're going after it for a whole host of reasons. One is exposed to the internet, right?
But shockingly, I need to expose my VPN entry point to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that is.
Well, but look at F5. Your load balancer has to be on the internet too. Maybe not the management port, but your load balancer has to be on the internet. And now the attackers have handfuls of 0 days that they stole from F5 before they were disclosed, and copies of the source code.
Yeah, which is, and they also have some F5 configurations, which can include credentials.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know what percentage of the Fortune 500 has F5 big IP?
It's like 99% or something.
Yeah, it's huge percentage.
It's not that high, but it's
I think it was a Fortune. I saw something that was like 47 out of the Fortune 50 have F5.
And there's huge numbers in the .gov space too.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just hoping these guys have like the HA config so they can patch one and get it going without. I mean, it's intrusive when you take one half out, but it's better than going completely offline.
I also found it very interesting that F5 said, we had these 0-day exploits and vulnerabilities that were stolen by the attackers, but we have no evidence that it's being exploited in the wild. And I'm like, I think I can explain that. Let's pretend we're the attackers and we're lurking inside of F5's network, and we discover that they're in disclosure for handfuls of 0 days, and we steal the information about said vulnerabilities. And if, as an attacker, then I start attacking other endpoints, other devices on the internet with 0 day, someone could find it. And then they're going to go, wait, this wasn't public. The only information where that existed was in F5's network. And F5's going to go, wait, do we have attackers in our network? And that's why we didn't see them publicly exploited, because they're hanging on to them because they didn't want to give up their spot. But now, once the cat's out of the bag, F5 discovers that the attackers are in the network. Brace yourselves. Now they're going to be like, all right, now time to unleash the 0 days on the internet.
I think it's just a legal response. We've got no evidence of.
I know that drives me nuts too. It does. Like, we didn't look, but no one told us this was being exploited in the wild. Therefore, we're going to have a statement that says this was not exploited in the wild. And I'm like, maybe there needs to be some legislation or something that has to show some due diligence and also force companies to disclose a little more about what they did to back up that statement. Right.
So did you catch that the announcement was delayed a month because of their customers saying you can't put this out yet?
That's interesting.
And the F5 announcement.
Completely off topic. Lee wearing a shirt that matches the paint behind him.
I did not.
Looks like a disembodied
I just noticed
head.
that.
It's just Lee's
I was
head.
thinking about the fact that it was 41 degrees outside when I picked out this sweatshirt. Not that I was going to have a podcast in front of the wall that's almost the same color. I feel like I'm doing it. I'm doing a salute to Josh with his green on green. That's it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Sean Metcalf did that yesterday in Enterprise Security Weekly. He was wearing like a red shirt with a red background.
Oops.
Nice.
Something
Actually,
we should all
I
aspire to.
It just means he died first.
That's right. That too.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation.
No, it's all good. I was actually chuckling over that a second ago. I was doing some stuff and just barely saw the alert to come join.
Yeah. So the F5 thing's bad.
Really bad.
Yeah, it's
My
bad.
analysis. It's bad.
How about that?
That's better. Now we can.
Oh, I was going to make a comment on regulation. Paul, how
Yes.
dare you? How dare you say that?
No, I was waiting
Regulation.
for you. I was waiting for you to chime in there.
There's somebody sent me I guess it's a document from CISA. I guess it's a public opinion paper. They've got some name for it about SBOM. They're looking
Yes.
for minimum required information in an SBOM. What should an SBOM look like? I
Yes.
checked with Alan Friedman because he's he's actually no longer with CISA.
CISA.
But I said, "Do you know anything about this document?" He said, "Well, I wrote most of it, so it is his work."
That's good.
But I'm reading through it, and the edicts, whatever it was, came out like 4 years ago to create SBOMs, and they're just now getting around to what should an SBOM look like. Now, I've been trying to struggle with what should an SBOM look like because PCI has required it since last April. There's a new requirement in the standard that looks for a software and software component inventory. Now, they don't technically say SBOM, and they'll refuse to say SBOM, but it's an SBOM. So, reading through the white paper, it looks like they're very much relying on vendors to come up with automated tools to collect the information, which is reasonable. And it kind of reads like, what kind of information would you expect to have in an SBOM anyway? Like the name of the tool, the version, something about its architecture, and then, trying to figure out what the source of every component part is. It all just seems very reasonable, which makes me think, why are they putting out this whole position paper and asking the public if this is an okay set of data? I don't know if anybody else has seen it. I can certainly.
I have. Yeah, it was in a slide in a presentation that I gave yesterday. That was yesterday. And I think it's just to have standard language and standard understanding of what like a base level SBOM is. So it's an effort on standards, is the way I understood it.
Which is weird because that has existed for
Because we
4
have
years
standards
already.
We have standards upon standards around SBOMs, right?
We've had discussion, and we know what constitutes a minimally viable software bill of materials. We've had that for some time, so I'm really confused about why we've got this again.
I guess I'm in the same place, Larry. It's like it's either too little, too late, or some sort of rubber chicken waving to try to distract from something else. Because I thought it was all kind of set in stone, but maybe not.
I think one of the problems, and it goes back to my IKD software example, is how do we identify software? The IKD is a great example. Okay, it derived from open source, but it's WatchGuard's implementation. So what moniker do we give it in an SBOM, right? Do we have to have extra fields to go, this software was derived from this software, or this software uses this library? Might be a good thing to have as well. Because the goal, like why I dug into it was, I'm like, if no one wants to write IPsec software, you can implement someone else's. So when there's a vulnerability disclosed in WatchGuard's IPsec stack, I'm like, is that same code used by other vendors elsewhere? And I should be able to query an SBOM to go, hey, look, that same software is there. But
I think that's the baseline, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole point of an SBOM is I need to know what libraries are in here, so when there's an issue,
right,
I can quickly look that up. Like remember Log4j and Log4Shell. Like some vendors, some security vendors who I will, I'll name them. McAfee.
The syndicate.
It took them a
name
month.
Names.
Name names. Sure,
it took them a month to come up with a list before they released after Log4Shell was being exploited.
Right.
A month before they released a list of where they had Log4j in their devices. And
there are arguably still vendors that are still discovering that they have Log4j and those versions in their product.
But it was revealing, right? Like some folks later that day, like in an hour, they said, okay, no, we don't have any Log4j, or here's where Log4j is in our products. Like they came out that same day. So you could almost tell who had SBOMs and who didn't. Or, had some good software asset management system. And who
Well, that's why I really like the concept of doing binary analysis on the software if you can, and what that gives you.
You can. You
Yeah.
just need to,
Well,
you just need
because
to, you need to use a tool called finite state.
I was gonna say Larry and I both work for companies that this is on the table, and there's other
are
companies
competitors,
that
right?
in their competitor, and there's other competitors in this space too. They give you, it's almost like the DNA of the binary, but then you can also compare it. And there was a company that did this with malware, but I like the notion of doing it with binary so that when there is a vulnerability in a component, let's say IKD, I can then go to binary analysis of other software in my environment, and it can go, hey, the IKD in this thing is 80% of a match to this other binary in this other product. There may be an issue, which
And
I really like. What was was it Intezer? Someone, I think it was some company
On the-
was doing that with malware, going, this malware is like an 80% match to this other malware. But I think Intezer pivoted to something else. But anyway.
And in any case, Paul, you on the binary side, yeah, absolutely. It's also when we think, IoT and that type of stuff. It's also incredibly helpful to be able to do that binary analysis, especially when, as a manufacturer, you may be getting software components from a third party that you do not have source code for. You're only ever given
Right.
binaries.
Right.
Classic example that you and I remember, Paul, is trying to do anything Wi-Fi on a Linksys WRT54G.
Yep. You need the binary.
And trying to
block.
get, because the only way Broadcom delivered the software for their Wi-Fi chipsets was a binary.
Right.
Yeah.
BMCs are the same way, and I ran into a similar issue where the vulnerability that Vlad discovered that ended up on the SysAkev list was a remote exploit for a BMC, but it was in the Lua code of the Redfish implementation. And so what we started to do was unpack firmware and go, does it have this Lua code, right? Because I believe that original Lua code came from AMI. They had the vulnerability, but then in the supply chain, it gets adopted by numbers of different vendors that have to go, hey, did I get this component from AMI that has the vulnerability? Did I fix it? And there was also a discovery of, do my BMCs have Lua code that implements it in this way and could be vulnerable? So I think those kind of discoveries are really cool. Of course, testing for this vulnerability, I mean, we released nuclei templates, which is the easiest way to test for those rather than unpacking firmware, just testing it remotely because of the nature of the exploit.
So one large language research project that I saw was building a model that could reliably take binary code and turn it back into source code that compiles into an identical binary.
Oh, that's interesting.
That can kind of complete that loop. So then if you combine that with analysis, you could then have an automated process that takes binaries, turns them into source code, searches that source code for vulnerabilities, fixes them, and then recompiles them into binaries.
That's a pretty awesome.
I would love some links to that project if you have those handy, Adrian.
Yeah, we talked about it a while ago, but even more interesting, Bruce Schneier and Gadi Evron and I'm going to blank on her name. Of course, I forget the woman's name. Let me look it up. But they released a op-ed where they're basically saying like they potentially see this in the future where enterprises don't have to wait on vendors for patches anymore, or
That's
for even
awesome.
discovering vulnerabilities, where they're just doing it themselves.
I mean, the technology for AI to patch code is coming along. I believe it was OpenAI had a project they talked about around RSA time in a little powwow with Dave Vitale, where OpenAI has a model that is able to patch software. And like, how awesome would it be to make that model open to open source communities? And so they have now a facility where they can, fix bugs using AI in their code. It's pretty awesome.
Trail of Bits open source theirs. It's called Buttercup.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard about it.
I can see the allure of sort of cutting to the chase and bypassing waiting for vendor notifications, but does it solve the problem of cost versus what's the latest buzzword, prioritization for vulnerability?
Yeah,
Or
that's the
or
thing.
We're not calling it
You nailed it.
prioritization this week. It's risk management.
You nailed it, Jeff. If doing this costs me 10 grand a day, nobody's going to do it, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem, is the cost. And I think that's what the analysts and others were saying about having a model like that is really expensive to run.
Yeah, you've got a bajillion lines of code between your own code and your vendor's stuff in your environment. Like as expensive as this stuff is, like inference gets really expensive at scale.
Right.
Doing this kind of thing.
Now,
I'll tell you what,
if AI can create a better SBOM and be able to, in theory, I would think an SBOM is easier to sort than going out to all the source all the
100%.
time.
Right.
Because then you can just use a
maybe
database.
that's the application.
Yeah, I haven't asked. I use Claude Code locally to do firmware analysis. And I don't want to give too much away and talk vendors, but generically, let's say you have firmware or you unpack firmware, and you can give it other things too. If there's GitHub repositories that relate to the firmware, clone those in the directory. You launch Claude Code, and then you start prompting it as a reverse engineer in a bug hunter, and it's been doing some pretty amazing things. I have firmware that I was like, after it did the analysis, I was like, kind of feels like you could emulate this more easily than maybe some other firmware. So I prompted, I'm like, hey, can you like talk? I said, first talk about how you would emulate this firmware. And it gave me some options. And I'm like, do this option. And it did that option. It actually put it in a Docker container and wrote full instructions for me to launch it in emulation. And I was like, no way this is going to work the first time. What is that guy on Instagram? No way. I'm like, no way.
No way.
No.
Except it did. I mean, not everything was functioning.
Fuck's sake.
But
way.
fuck's
It ain't
sake,
so.
fuck's sake, I'm like, this thing's running in emulation. I'm like, I can hit the web
love that
interface,
guy.
but I don't have the physical device. And I didn't have to tweak any of I read through the, Docker Compose scripts and all that stuff, and it had a startup script because it had deep knowledge of the firmware because I had prompted it to do other things with the firmware. So I'm like, all right, now tell me how to run this in emulation. And I'm like, oh my God, it did it. I'm like, this type of thing we've talked about in previous Security Weekly episodes, taking firmware and going to emulation can take months, right? And Claude did, a first pass at it, it did it in like less than an hour. I'm like, well, that's a game changer for sure. Even if it saved me, a couple of months worth of time, and now I got to spend a week to, tweak it, that's still significantly less effort to start getting this stuff in emulation. I'm like, oh, that's pretty awesome. I'm having too much fun with Claude. But back to the cost thing, then you end up running out of tokens, and then you just got to give Claude more money.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
a lot of people have been talking about that. They're like, I spent $5 just putting together the plan to do my vibe coding project.
Right.
Right? Like I spent $5 in tokens just making the the markdown plan.
I have
Starting.
I don't have the $200 a month plan on Claude. Larry, what did Larry say? He's like amateur or something like that.
Yep, amateur.
Yeah, amateur. I have whatever the next step down is. What is that? $20 a month? $20
Yep.
a month. I have the $20 a month plan, and I've used it to successfully vibe code a few projects up to this point without running out of tokens. So my scripts for downloading firmware and definition files for ESP32 and Flipper devices. That project's actually on my GitHub. If you want to go check it out, you can do that. And
Where is that GitHub, Paul?
GitHub/P Acidorian is my GitHub.
One S.
And that project is called SD_sync.
So all you have to do is know how to spell Paul's name, and you're there.
That's it. And so I did that project, and then for my my vulnerability disclosure that went public this week, the Framework UE5 vulnerability that we discovered, all my scripts for testing that, I used Claude to code them. It includes some Bash scripts and Python, a Python script, and I used Claude to do that as well. I talked about that in PSW this week, right? So all that code was generated by Claude, and it did a great job.
So-
I was super impressed.
sounds to me like you're getting more than $20 worth of value out of your
Yeah.
Claude subscription. So if you do a project or two that blows you over and you spend another $10, I don't think. I mean, I'm thrifty as all get out. I hate paying a cent more than I have to, but it seems
Right.
like you've got a pretty damn good ROI on this at this point.
And I kind of reserve it for using the command line Claude code.
No, yeah,
'cause I
yeah,
like that.
but
I like that better. So when I go to the web browser and I need to like ask a question, I use ChatGPT, Perplexity, or Gemini. But Claude, I kind of reserve my tokens for doing firmware reverse engineering and programming projects.
I said, by contracts, how many times have we been shopping online and decided we want it now, so we pay the extra $3 or $5 so you can
Right.
have it right freaking now?
Right.
Same thing. And
again,
you know, I'm not
these are
not
small.
second guessing you.
Again, these are small projects, right? I'm not
Mhm.
developing a gigantic application. I'm just like I need some scripts to accomplish a task, and is able to do that really well. And you got to prompt it kind of slow, and I do review. I mean, not every line of code, but 80-90% of the code, I make sure that I go through and give it some manual inspection, and then I'm kind of off to the races and I'm modifying from there.
Which also means you're developing your AI. I don't want to use the word, but I'm going to use it. Governance skills as well, and honing them.
Correct.
I love your GitHub page, Paul. One, you need an updated icon because like you're 14 in that picture.
Yeah.
The
It's
other
long
one,
ago that GitHub was created.
also, to give you an idea, it says there's 6 top repositories, and the second one down on the first column is called DisplayGoat,
Yes.
which the last update was 9 years ago. So it's
9 years,
incredibly
yeah.
it's incredibly popular.
Yes. That was like a little script I whipped up for the studio to display images from a Raspberry Pi, so we could display images on the show.
Yep, it's crappy.
It's crappy. I think the description says it's crappy little shell script.
Version 0.1, crappy.
Yep.
A crappy shell script they use to display images on the screen from a special.
I couldn't tell if you were saying crappy or crafty.
No, crappy. Definitely crappy.
Yeah.
But you know,
even
if it
better,
helps someone,
it's double crappy because the readBMD is a crappy shell script that is used to display images on the screen from a specified folder. I will warn, it's crappy.
Yeah. Double crappy.
Yep.
I'd say that photo on your GitHub page looks very innocent.
I don't remember which photo it is.
So I've been dropping some links in the chat there. I found that paper. It was called LLM for Decompile.
Nice.
Oh,
And the lady's name is?
Oh, yes. Her name is Heather Adkins.
Oh yeah, I recognize that name.
mm-hmm.
I think I interviewed her on the show.
Yeah, the name is familiar for sure, but I can't recall from where.
I'm just saving those links you put in the chat.
Same.
I can actually display them on a live stream, but then it just shows up like that. I don't know if you guys can see that, but
Yeah. That
and then the
works.
other one was this one. That's a long one. I don't know if you'll be able to. You can't really. I don't know
You
if you'll
can
be able to
highlight
copy
it and copy it. Yep.
Oh my goodness! So Heather
Wow.
Adkins has been doing security engineering work at Google since 2002.
Yeah, I definitely interviewed her years ago.
Good for her.
She's seen some things.
It's a good way to put it, Adrian.
A lot has happened at Google since 2002.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, on the flip side, just yesterday I was doing an industry advisory board for Boise State, talking to some of the students who are getting into cyber, including one who's been 20 years in service, as in wait, that kind of stuff. And she is so excited to get into this field.
That's awesome.
She's got the enthusiasm that she's willing to. You would love this woman, Jeff, because she loves GRC topics, but knows how and loves talking to the mushrooms that don't want to talk to anybody, and knows how to draw people out and work with them. It's like, damn, there's hope for this industry. We need more people like this gal.
She's got all the enthusiasm that we don't.
That's it. But we need her. We need her and us both. We need both sides of it. You know. We need the folks that'll sit like a mushroom in the dark, absorbing everything and coming up with some really cool shit. And then we need someone like her that knows how to talk to them to figure out how to get the security right. So, like I said, I love doing stuff like that. We feel like there's a damn good future out in front of us.
I do want to talk about Gurkon too a little bit.
Oh yeah, how was
Sure.
Towards the
Gurkon?
end. I drank too much coffee today. I'll be right back.
Yep. Okay. So we go. We still. Let's start with ReliefCon.
He couldn't even make it 12 more minutes.
Wow.
Well, that's that aging bladder.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you drank
So-
coffee, you should be pooping, but that's a different.
So while he's gone, Larry, have you looked at the Flipper 1 at all? I just saw that they're releasing a new one here.
Yeah, I only looked at it briefly. We did talk about it on Security Weekly this past week. I think Paul looked at it, of course, a lot more in depth than I did, but I'm definitely tracking it. It definitely seems like it's going to be a whole bunch of fun, and we'll probably end up picking one up.
I'm getting like Flipper Pro vibes from it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's got an Ethernet port on it, apparently.
Yep, and a full
What?
Linux, full Linux operating system underneath.
Wow. So much for that Windows 11 upgrade.
And it looks
Too
the
soon?
piece looks ruggedized. It looks like the
Yeah,
Panasonic Toughbook of flippers.
nice. Yes, it does.
So when Paul gets back, we have to wrap up our Gurkon discussion and move on to the next item.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we totally got to pump him.
I'm
Yes.
gonna have to drop at the bottom of the hour.
Yep, us too.
Well,
I
we're
think,
dropping.
yeah.
Most of us are dropping at the top of the hour.
Yeah. Same here. There he is.
Oh,
Yeah.
all
So,
right,
so that's all the
Gurkon.
good. That's all the fun
Yeah, that
stuff
was-
that
that was
happened at Gurkon.
Good to hear about GerdCon.
Yeah,
So Gurkon.
we were talking about this, Paul.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get a hold of one of those.
Let's take bets on how many Paul has on order. Or is it
Can't order
Larry?
'em. That's the problem. You can't order them yet.
They're still way alpha. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who are you and what'd you do with Paul?
I know, right?
Or maybe I should have
will-
said Larry.
As
But
soon
yeah.
as soon as they're available, I've got a Feedly AI search that looks for Flipper, and so I'm hoping I see that as soon as it publishes, and get in on the first batch.
That was what I was hoping for one of your answers might be.
I tell you what, though, out of all I've been doing a lot of testing of ESP32 devices, which is one thing that reminded me of Gurkon. I really like as like the device to replace the Flipper. Oh yeah, see, I got my package too. GPL displays were on sale on Prime Day. Adrian got two patches, blocks of them, 4
Nice.
total. Nice.
They're
do
on my
like the,
stack of projects to do, along with.
Yeah, along
These
with a lot
guys
of other things. Yeah, I've had the similar
And
similar
this is
problem.
really cool too.
What is that?
Tachyon?
Oh, I've heard of that. What,
Particle tachyon.
what does that do?
It's got 4G, so it's like a Raspberry Pi, but with cellular built in,
Yeah. I've seen those.
and like GPU.
So, if speaking of the Flipper, my number one device right now, and I've tested a lot of different devices that are basically aimed at replicating what the Flipper can do. I like the LilyGo T-Embed, LilyGo T-Embed CC1101 Plus. The Plus comes with an NRF radio in it.
Mhm.
Yes. Plus comes with the NRF 2.4 gigahertz radio. Larry's got some right there. This is
That-
This is the closest thing. What do they
Is, this
cost?
the, is it the green one?
No, that's the FM transmitter one. That one's
Yep.
cool too. I have one of those.
So this one.
Is the Plus, yeah. So that's pretty close to a Flipper for like what? What did we pay for those, Larry? About $50?
I think
40
so.
bucks, something like that, plus
so.
shipping. So it's about $50. It's got the ESP32 gives you Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. It's got NFC RFID on it, I believe. Is that true?
Yes. Yep. NFC,
and it comes
'cause
with the
it comes with a little NFC tag with it too.
yeah, and it comes with that model. The Plus model comes with the NRF 2401L, 2.4 gigahertz chipset. Which is awesome, and the Bruce firmware supports all of that hardware. Also, it has infrared as well. So it's a pretty close replacement in my mind of all the devices that I've tested the M5 stack stuff, the LilyGo stuff. I'm like, what if you would take a cheap yellow display like Adrian was holding up and use the I/O ports to add all of the different radios and infrared, which I think I posted that to our internal chat. I'm like, someone did it. Someone actually soldered on and connected a CC1101 and all the different radios and infrared stuff to the cheap yellow display, which I thought was cool. I'm like, wow, that looks like that's an endeavor in and of itself. So I like the T-Embed CC1101 Plus, $50. It has tons of functionality, including some I/O port expansion on that as well.
LilyGo's got a whole bunch of other.
Gurkhan?
Yeah, LilyGo's got a bunch of other fun stuff. This one is their T Keyboard S3. So big chunky keys, but it's actually got mechanical key switches in it, and they're LCDs in the keys. I've been back and forth with them a little bit because, as Paul and I discovered,
Yeah, you got the wrong model, right?
They sent me the wrong one. I ordered the host that has USB and all that stuff to program it with, but they sent me the non-host version, so you actually have to have a host to plug this in.
To plug it into, yeah.
This is the expansion, and back and forth, and sure enough, they actually had wrong SKUs on some of the boxes at distribution. So we've been back and forth with them for the last week or so.
Right.
About.
Yeah, I love that device because I would love to write some bad USB code for that.
Yeah.
That populates the LCDs with, like, you want to launch this payload, you want to launch that payload, and you can program each button to launch a different payload. I don't know if it's possible, but that would be my research for a use case for that device. Yep, not super stealthy, but kind of neat to have programmable. But there's a couple other bad USB devices that have some programmable buttons like that.
Yep.
So what do you want to say about Gurkhan, Paul?
Yeah, we got 6 minutes left, right?
Yeah, you got talking about Gurkhan, where the Eclipsian booth had the devices that I researched and helped purchase to give away at our booth. So I hope people got those at Gurkhan and are doing great things with those, doing evil things with permission with those devices. Certainly, the T-Dongle S3 was one of the ones that I like that runs USB Army Knife, which is just a really super cool project for doing bad USB stuff. But short of that, how was Gurkhan?
Gurkhan was great. It has become the de facto replacement to DerbyCon in my mind for the go-to Midwestern, decent size, not too big, not too small hacker conference. Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And it'll be, it's always on a Thursday. Yeah, the GRR is the airport code. Next year it'll be the last. It's always Thursday and Fridays. Whatever the last Thursday and Friday of September is, whatever those dates are, that's when it'll be. We should all be there next year. I do have a question though. I don't know, for those that go to different conferences, like Gurkhan this year did not record any of the talks, and I don't think they have for the last couple years. And I was talking to somebody about it, and I'm like, I've been to a lot of conferences this year, and a lot of them aren't recording anymore, and I don't know the reason why. If it's become cost prohibitive, or
my guess would be cost.
If there's other issues, I don't know if anybody's heard anything or had any thoughts about it.
I'd say cost.
Yeah, most of the time it's probably cost. I mean, some conferences don't want to record at the speaker's request because they want to present really cool stuff just for the audience. I know there was like Offensive Con and a couple other conferences that happen like that where they on purpose don't record the talks. But I think for some more of the like public community ones, it's a cost issue, right? Because it's tricky.
I mean, own research on it.
Yeah, we've all kind of dabbled with, or at least looked at what the technology would be to record talks at a conference, and it's tricky. Like Adrian had given presentations, Adrian Crenshaw rather, when he was doing it. Had given presentations as the on the budget setups. Yeah.
We let organizers do B-Sides Knoxville for 2 years, and it was just an absolute nightmare because somebody thought
they could do it themselves.
A Cisco employee he was like, I'm just going to grab a bunch of cameras and a bunch of laptops and SD cards, and we're going to record this stuff. And we got like maybe 4 talks out of the 17. And I gave him 2 years, and it was just a dumpster fire both years. And ever since then, I just hired this guy who I'm happy to share with anybody. I think it cost us like $2,000 for him to record 2 tracks and do professional photography. So if you look at the B-Sides Knoxville YouTube video, we've got really nice thumbnails with like really nice pictures of all the speakers as they're speaking.
That's awesome.
And it looks great. Super professional. They're a blast to work with.
Actually, $2,000 for that is actually pretty good.
That's not bad at all.
It is. It's amazing. He does it for the fun of it. He's got a
that
lot
just
of passive
covers-
income from rentals.
So it just kind of covers his cost. I'm also picking back up photography as a hobby, as my 2 younger kids are in sports, and they've been harassing me the past couple of years to take pictures at their games. So, you start out with your phone, and then I start digging out some of my camera gear, and then I was like, oh well, one of my cameras is here in the studio, so I bought a new camera body. And then I was like, well, the pictures aren't great. I talked to my photography friends, and now I'm upgrading lenses. And so right now I've got actually Sigma makes a really great sports photography lens that's like $1,300 or $1,400 cheaper than the Sony equivalent, because I shoot the Sony A6400 right now. And Sigma everyone's like, this, unless you just want to waste like $1,300, they're like, just go with the Sigma. So I've shot a couple of games with that. It's a 70 to 200 millimeter lens with a 2.8 f-stop for sports photography, and is doing really well. So and then once you get into it, then it's like, oh, I could upgrade my camera body. I can do this. I can do that. It's just,
So yeah,
Danger, Will
we're
Robinson.
We're all geeks, right? So we think, we can record this ourselves. But that's one of the wonderful things about working with this guy, is he's a huge geek on this stuff as well. So
so the equipment.
They not only do the video recordings, like they've got drones, they've got lighting. They even have like a super professional walkie-talkie system that all the organizers get to use. He doesn't charge us anything extra for this stuff, because he also runs a rental business for this stuff. Like he's got the cameras that they use to make the latest Top Gun movie. Those 50K Sony cameras, and he can do that because he rents it out. And he makes the money back on buying all these gadgets by renting the stuff out.
Right.
And he always has the latest stuff. So it's a lot
one
of
of
fun
the
to work with him.
one of the grandfathers of a kid that's my middle son's age took up photography as a hobby, like a retirement hobby, and shoots most of the local school sports events. And posts them just on Facebook because it's his hobby and he likes doing it. And I got talking to him, and like his camera setup retail for the lens and body is around $15,000 for that setup.
Yeah,
He's
we're
like,
talking $100,000 here for lens
Right.
and body.
Yeah, exactly. Then you
For
can
some
go.
of these.
It's like anything else. You just keep throwing money at it, and you can get something better and better. And he's, just a tip if you're going to get into this, buying used is where it's at, because a lot of photographers will start and then sell and then upgrade and keep going down that path. And most people take great care of their gear. So when you buy it secondhand, you get a great discount and it's in great shape, right? So I buy most of my equipment used. Which is
2
awesome.
And there's
PM
special
call.
sites just for that, right?
I got a couple of minutes wiggle room, but we can start thinking about wrapping. You got me all excited about my newfound photography hobby.
Yeah.
But you're the one
So,
that
Paul,
said you had
just
something
before-
to do.
I get a drop here, Paul, but just
same.
before I do, I enabled password protection on my Jet KVM. Paul was asking me about this just before we started. So this little guy, little KVM device that powers
Because
off.
you can't buy them now. They're in like a weird holding pattern. They said in a
can
couple
you
of
not?
weeks.
Is it like a
the kicks-
manufacturing thing?
I think the Kickstarter finished, and they're working towards having it available via retail. And so we're in some kind of weird purgatory where you can't buy them, because I'm looking to get one.
They are awesome. Like they feel like an Apple product, like that level of like well constructedness. Super simple to use. And so the password protection is disabled by default. So I
Yes.
enabled that. I also enabled HTTPS, and now I'm testing it. And I think a lot of these URLs you sent me were hallucinated because
agree.
even authenticated, it's not telling me any.
I
of these
did
existing.
the same thing, and it corrected itself. It's using
One did
React.
work though.
Yeah, one does work, which is like
Metrics.
a low-level finding. Yep, metrics works, but the React single-page authentication is what prevents you from getting to those other endpoints. They exist in the binary, but they actually did put some proper protections around it. So
Okay.
yeah,
But
and
yeah,
so if you're
even
using,
authenticated, I can't get to them.
so if you're using any kind of KVM, because there's Nano KVM, Pi KVM, make sure you enable all the things for security on them, because what I'm discovering is that they by
Default, it
default,
was nothing.
Default there's
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, make sure you lock that stuff down, and there's some great options now for that. So yeah, I think we all have to drop, but thank you everyone for listening and watching this edition of the Hacker Syndicate. Larry, in traditional fashion, take us out.
Over and out.